I'm looking at some blessed people. Praise God, they're going to God. Quote of the day. Quote of the day is, hold fast to dreams. For if dreams die, life is a broken-winged bird that cannot fly. Hold fast to dreams. For if dreams die, life is a broken-winged bird that cannot fly. Langston Hughes. Langston Hughes. All right, let's get into the word, and let's get into the teaching, actually, for the day. African-American men, Dr. Audrey talked about women. Let's talk about men affecting our society. Scripture reference, let's go to Isaiah 46 and 9. Same scripture we read last week at our panel. I'm getting so many compliments and that go, and it was really good on our panel. Amen. It was really, really good, and those who was on it, let's give our in-house person, Daniel. He's not here today. Daniel did awesome. Very proud of him. Did a great job. When I asked him, he looked at me like, huh? I said, you can do it. You got something in you that people need to hear. Everybody got something in them. Amen. Reach somebody. All right. Isaiah 46 and 9 says, Message Bible. Think about this. Wrap your minds around it. This is serious business, rebels. Take it to heart. Here it is. Remember your history, your long and rich history. I am God, the only God you've had or ever will have. Incomparable, irreplaceable. That's a mic drop. Incomparable, irresistible. From the very beginning, telling you what the ending will be. All along, letting you in on what is going to happen. Assuring you, I'm in this for the long haul. I'll do exactly what I set out to do. History is important. Paul Butler, who's a law professor at Georgetown University, said, when you're in an elevator or walking behind somebody and you feel like you have to perform to make them feel safe, it's like apologizing for your existence. He was talking about black men. He said, when you're in an elevator or walking behind somebody and you feel like you have to perform to make them feel safe, it's like apologizing for your existence. And many African-American men feel that way. Most of us have felt that way before. Most of us have been in an elevator or walking behind someone. Matter of fact, the other night, Friday night, I was walking behind a couple people. They're going to Mars restaurant, whatever, to eat. And it was really cold, so I let Dr. Audrey out, and I went parked. It was, man, that wind was blowing. And I was behind a white couple, and I kind of like started making noises, because one guy looked back right quick, and he saw me. And, I'm kind of 6 feet, over 6 feet, black guy that ain't too small, and he double clutched, and then so here's what I did to make him feel good. I said, man, how y'all doing? To make him feel comfortable. That's bad. That I have to do that. Now, somebody say, well, you didn't have to do that. Well, I didn't, but I ain't want nothing to break off. You see what I'm saying? I just need everything good. In the elevator and people clench their purse. Okay, if you're an African-American man, you've been there. You've seen that. That has happened to you. Okay, and we have to deal with that. Being an African-American man can sometimes be challenging in our society because we've been depicted as the big black savage. Birth of a Nation showed that. We were blackface. We were savages, mean, strong, kill you, attack you. Be careful with us. We'll steal from you. We've been depicted that way. Strength in our physical, but not strength in business, intellect, or economics. That's how we've been depicted as African-American men. We the agitator, watch out for them. And we have to reprove ourselves on a constant basis. That yes, I may be strong. Yes, I may be big. Yes, I may be bold. But I'm also smart. I'm also compassionate. I also have a heart, and I also cry. That's who I am. And so the media doesn't do that. Matter of fact, the overwhelming majority of the roles we have played has been roles make us subpar, to make us beneath. We don't play a lot of roles as doctors and lawyers and community leaders and things of this nature. And so the eye gate of people see us a different way. And we have to retrain them all the time because, whatever you see on a constant basis become truth to you in your unconscious, whether you are consciously aware of that or not. Right? Even in ministry, the black pastor has been now depicted, and some of it is our fault, as just this performer on the stage on Sunday morning. And we just sing our messages. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's part of our history. But we've been depicted as a singer and not an intellect. So when somebody African-American starts to speak truth in any way, we say, well, he's different. We don't call the white man different, but we call the black man different. And we shouldn't be different, it's just who we are. Because if you history, some of your smartest blacks, African-Americans in the community, all the way from slavery all the way up, were the preachers. They were the most educated. Most of the schools started off as minister and teacher schools. Most of them. Even Harvard University started out with John Harvard as a school teaching ministers. And the ministers were the intellect. But what has happened over the years, we've dumbed down the ministry. Boy, somebody gonna get mad at me saying that. By people going into ministry because they're popular with no intellect. And so they start ministry just on feelings and just on hoopla. And so now the minister is looked upon as not smart. I heard a minister one time, he was bragging about how people were listening to him, but he didn't graduate from high school. And I went to him and said, well, if you keep bragging on that, most people like me, we won't listen to you again. Because that's nothing to brag on. Especially unless you went and got a GED and then did something else. Hello, because now you're trying to say that you don't have to be intellectual to discern the Bible. And even though it's a holy book, it's one of the most complicated books I ever read in my life. And that's why you need intellect. The rabbis were some of the smartest people in Israel and still is. Black men suffer from low self-esteem, self-awareness, self-actualization, meaning fulfilling their potential, self-worth, and self-image. Because we're always trying to find ourselves, so we think we got to be a certain way, have a certain image, be so tough, look a certain way to get respect, when we just need to be who we are. Our image of being cool is our pants sagging down, which we all know came from prison. And it means, okay, I'm ready to have intercourse with you. So now, like being walking around, okay, gap-legged downtown, even adults. I see adults over 25, 30 years old walking like this because they got a pants saggy because there's some image, some gangster person said in a video, and that person wearing a suit when they go out. But got you looking like a fool. One that despises wisdom and understanding. Hello, somebody. Amen. That means that you got to know the root of a thing, because the root of a thing determines the fruit of a thing. Mm-hmm. And you ain't got to be square or this or that. You can be cool and down, but you don't have to be like that. Amen. Nobody trying to make you no other thing but who you are. But you got to carry who you are the right way. And it's all right to be down. It's all right to get, matter of fact, most of the people I greet now, even at the chamber, I be trying to shake their hand now. They come up to me, give me the brother hug. They pull me in. I went to get Greg Brown the other day. He put his hand back and pulled me in. A white gentleman, chairman of the Huntsville Chamber of Commerce, CEO of a major business here, right? So it's cool. So we can be who we are and teach other people, but it's how we carry it. Tell somebody it's how you carry it. And so our black men, and I'm going to talk about a few black men right quick, have to stand up and recognize who they are and what you came from and the stock that you came from. We all need to understand that 9 of the 10 slaves died on the way. 9 of the 10 transatlantic slave trade, 9 out of 10 people died on the way. You part of the 1% that made it. The 10% that made it. Hello, somebody. You part of the 10% that made it. You come from good stock. Glory to God. And not just, they didn't make it just from a physical. Making it wasn't physical. It was mental too. Mostly mental. So y'all hearing me? See, the power to define is the power to determine destiny. When you know who you are, nobody can stop you. But you got to know who you are. You got to know who you are as a black man. We're talking about black men. They says I'm a black man. Got to be proud of black man. If I was a white man, I'd be proud to be a white man. But I'm a black man. I'm proud to be a black man. Amen. I don't get up and say, man, I wish I wasn't black. No, God made me this way. I'm proud of this skin color. It's bad to the bone, baby. And if I was white, okay, it'd be bad to the bone too. Because how God made you, you fearfully and wonderfully made. So everybody, amen, should be bad to the bone. And if I was mixed like half black and half white, I'd still be bad to the bone on both sides. Are y'all following me? You see what I'm saying? But you got to understand who you are and respect who you are. James Brown said, "Hey, say it loud, say it proud." Hey, you got to see you black and you beautiful. Come on, somebody. All right? But you got to know who you come from. Now, let's talk about a few people, and then I'll let you go. I want to start off with, I'm going to start off with a preacher and end up with a different type preacher. The first person I want to start off with is Richard Allen. And they may put his picture up there, I don't know. But Richard Allen, okay, was a preacher. He was an abolitionist. He was a former slave. He was an educator. Now, what he's famous for is that Richard Allen started Mother Bethel. It was AME Church, the first African-American denomination in the United States of America. Come out of the Methodist Church in Philadelphia, okay? A powerful thing. That church has 2.5 million people to this day, 6,000 churches. Amen. Matter of fact, the land that they bought in Philadelphia, it was the first piece of land that any black organization bought in this country, and they still own it to this day. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we talking about in 1800s, 18 by 1898. So this is a long time ago, and he was a slave, and bought his freedom for $2,000 and his brothers. Okay, he was a slave. He was a man. Okay, he was a slave. He self-educated himself. Him and his wife, Sarah, started church, I didn't say 1794, when they started the Bethel Church, when they started Bethel AME Church in 1794, all right? Him and his wife and a few other people. His wife was named Sarah. Say Sarah. Yeah, that's a good name, yeah, because she was right there with him, okay? Now, he recognized that former slaves needed some education, so they opened up a day school for children in the morning times, during the day, and then adults in the evening. Here's a slave, here's a preacher who knew education was important. Listen, let me say this. Education is the most important thing you can have. Now, let me preface this. It don't have to be formal education. In some arenas, you got to get a formal education. You can't be a doctor without going to med school. I'm just sorry. Right? You can't be a nurse without going to nursing school. You can't be a licensed social worker counselor without getting a degree. You can't do that. But whatever God called you to do, you need to get educated on it. Somebody challenged Bill Gates, okay, on education, and him jumping out of Harvard and said, "We know you have an education." And Bill Gates said, "I'm more educated than I ever been at Harvard." He said, I've continued to study, okay, for years. Elon Musk, the same way. Okay. Now, I ain't saying for you all to drop out of school unless you know you're going to get educated and do some things. But what I'm saying is, you, as an African-American man, you need to educate yourself. You need to read. I'm talking to me. I'm talking to everybody. Can I talk to black men, African-American men? You need to read. You need to educate yourself. You need to be able to carry on a conversation and understand what's going on in the world. Because people will judge you, well, they shouldn't. They do. They're going to judge you based on what you do when you open your mouth. No one knows you ignorant until you open your mouth. Okay? And you just can't run around and look at a bunch of sports and all that stuff. Don't get me wrong. I like myself some college football. I watch, March Madness and the NBA Finals. I don't watch a lot of basketball until it's at the end. Okay? But I do like, every Saturday, doing football, I'm going to be watching a game or two. Okay, so ain't nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, I'm educating myself. I'm reading. I'm looking at. I'm listening to podcasts. I'm looking at YouTube videos. All that, all the time, because I must educate myself as an African American man. Okay, we cannot be on the bottom on everything. We can't have more blacks going to jail than going to college. Now, black women, they doing it. More black women graduate from college than any other race in the country. And we far behind because we're trying to be cool. Trying to be cool. Okay? Cool get you broke. And then we have to do illegal things to try to match up to those who are doing illegal, which there has a shelf life to it. Eventually, everybody get caught. You may go years, but eventually, everybody get caught. And why you want to live a life that you're looking all behind yourself all the time? Right? That ain't how God designed it. Let me hurry up. The second guy I want to talk about is Langston Hughes. Now, I want to talk about Langston Hughes really because David did a great job on that today. But you know, the Harlem Renaissance was the flowering of black intellectualism and literacy and artistic life that actually happened in several cities, but Harlem was the major place. Everything else stemmed from Harlem, okay? And Langston Hughes was a big proponent and initiator in this. He wrote in an essay. The essay is called The Negro Artist in the Racial Mountain. Here's what Langston says. He said, "We younger Negro artists who create now intend to express our individual dark-skinned selves without fear or shame. If white people are pleased, we are glad. If they are not, it doesn't matter. We know we are beautiful and ugly too." Here's a person who's self-aware. Langston said, we young artists, we're going to tell you who we are. We're going to express, okay, our culture, and we don't care. If you like it, great. If you don't like it, who cares? That's powerful. And thus the Harlem Renaissance changed this country, as we just saw today, right? Pretty powerful. What are you going to do, black man, to leave something to change this country? What are you going to do to leave a legacy? Are we going to be all about just getting and acquiring things for ourselves? Or are we going to leave a legacy as a black person, as a black man? I think we all should be leaving legacies. You get things to be a blessing, and nothing wrong with that. Because until you can help yourself, you can't help nobody else. So don't ever let nobody tell you, black man, you spend, too much time. It's all about you. When you know you in that season that you got to get your mind right and get things right in order to help people, you just going to get that right. It's okay, because you can't help nobody until you help yourself. You can't buy me a Big Mac when you begging, okay, for a Whopper. Right? You got to help get yourself together, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But you can't stay there. We are obligated, as we used to say in Nesby, and that's Society of the Black Engineers, each one reach one. You're obligated. You're obligated for that. Now, I want to talk about this guy, and he's not going to say, well, he always be brought up. I want to talk about him in a different perspective, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The most misunderstood figure we have in black history. Most people think they know Dr. King. They have no clue who that guy is. They have no clue who he really is. Not who he was just at the beginning of his life, who he was at the end of his life. Different person. Dr. King was at Oberlin College, and the Secretary of State was there at the time, Kennedy, and he talks about a story of Rip Van Winkle. And he said, the story, he was talking about Rip Van Winkle. He said, Rip Van Winkle went to sleep for 20 years. But outside in the story, there was an inn, and outside the inn, there was a picture of King George III in England on the picture. When he woke up, there was a picture of George Washington, the first president of the United States. He went to sleep under the leadership, of King George, King George III. Went to sleep under the leadership of King George III. 20 years later, he woke up under the presidency of George Washington. He had been asleep. And Dr. King said that most people look at the tale of him going to sleep for 20 years. But what most fail to see and to realize is that Rick Van Winkle slept through a revolution. Wow, think about that. While he was peacefully snoring up on the mountain, a great revolution was taking place in the world, he says. Indeed, a revolution which would at points change the course of history. And Rip Van Winkle knew nothing about it. He was asleep. And that was from his Dr. King's teaching, Awakening through a Revolution. And most people are asleep through this revolution. When you sleep through change, when you wake up, you don't have the mental capacity to handle what is going on at the time. Y'all just hear what I said. You don't have the mental capacity. You do not have the mental stamina. You do not have the self-actualization to handle what is going on at the present time in the future. And so many black men are asleep through the revolution. They're asleep. They don't know what's going on. The mind. Here's what Dr. King says. There are too many people who in some great period of social change fail to achieve the new mental outlooks that the new situation demands. There is nothing more tragic than to sleep through a revolution. You got to wake up. Tell somebody to wake up. You got to wake up. The Bible says in Romans the 12th chapter, Romans 12 and 2, Passion Translation, Romans 12 and 2 says, stop imitating the ideals and opinions of the culture around you, but be inwardly transformed by the Holy Spirit through a total reformation of how you think. This will empower you to discern God's will as you live a beautiful life, satisfying and perfect in his eyes. Stop imitating the ideas and opinions of the culture around you, but inwardly be transformed by the Holy Spirit through a total reformation of how you think. And I listen to African American men, and their thinking is wrong. They're thinking it wrong. I was doing a teaching the other day, and a young man in that teaching, I was talking about me giving up some things, and in order to do my why, and giving up some material things and money and things of that nature to fulfill my why. And here's what he said. He said, you are lucky you had options. I said, did you not just hear me say I was born to a 15-year-old in the projects? Luck has not gotten me where I'm at. Work has. You're not successful by luck, black man. You're successful by work and smart work. And you can't fall asleep and not have the mental capacity to what God want to do with you now. Okay? We cannot have a mindset to blame others before we blame ourselves. You got to point back the finger to yourself and say, what have I not done to be on a trajectory to be great? What have I not done in order to be fulfilled? It's not about blaming the white man or this man. I have many, many white friends. They're friends. We do things together, and I don't blame them. Yes, so their forefathers in the system, okay, may have given them a leg up, but I'm not there to sit there and just cause blame because I got too much to do. I got too much work to go forward. I'm not going to sleep through a revolution. I'm going to be awake. I'm going to see what's going on and see what I need to put in this brain in order to handle what's coming down the road. Okay? We have to know who we are. And Dr. King was a master at knowing who he was. He would talk to the president and talk to kings and people around the world, and then go to the ghetto and talk to the little lady. Baby just got killed. He knew he was. You notice, listen to Dr. King's sermons. He never ever talked on this level. Even when people was not on that level, Dr. King talked here and challenged you to come up here to understand me. which took work. You ever listen to a Dr. King's sermon or a speech? You got to have your dictionary out. Like, what does that word mean? You see what I'm saying? Why? Because he knew he was. And we are part black men of some great men who not just shot basketballs and hit baseballs. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with the Jackie Robinson and all of them. We'll talk about them. But we are more than just that. We can do that in other stuff. Another guy I want to talk about a little bit today is James Baldwin. James Baldwin is a very complex guy. I don't know if you ever listened to James Baldwin, but you got to listen to everything James Baldwin say about 5 times to see what James Baldwin taught on a higher level than Dr. King intellectually. Oh my goodness! Not that he was necessarily smarter. He just kind of his words, how he rolled off his mouth, and how he said things, kind of went that way. James Baldwin was a writer and a civil rights activist. He's best known for his novels and plays that he wrote on the center, that center around race, politics, sexuality. He was big on that. James Baldwin, just full disclosure, of course, was one of the first black open gay people and didn't hide it. And matter of fact, James Baldwin believed things, just sex should not even be looked at it that way. Now, I'm not agreeing with James Baldwin on all that. But, he wrote books like The Fire Next Time, If Beale Street Could Talk, Another Country, Giovanni's Room, powerful. Through his popularity in writings that he produced here and abroad, because, he went over to France and really that's where he died at. I mean, Baldwin challenged the intellectual traditions of American society. He really did. And we didn't talk about him a whole lot until lately, last few years. But, my friend Andrew Curry is a big James Baldwin fan, who's probably watching now in Toronto. But James Baldwin remained outspoken observer of race relations. He put it out there. He didn't take down. He told the establishment who they was, why they did it, okay, and why they need to go forward. Matter of fact, James Baldwin once said, he told a white gentleman, he said, I feel sorry for you. You have to have hate and malice in your heart to feel good about yourself. He said, I feel sorry for you. That's how powerful James Baldwin was with his words, His poetry, actually, string phrase, and he did about the autobiography of Malcolm X, led Spike Lee to write the movie, the film Malcolm X. That all came from James Baldwin. Powerful guy, okay, that we can look toward for intellectualism, because a lot of blacks are not looked at, especially black men, are not looked at as being intellectuals, right? You see a picture of an intellectual, black man. No. But we can be intellectual. An intellectual is not a person who thinks they're smart. An intellectual is a person that others say smart. They don't say it; other people say it for them, right? Right? But it's all right to be an intellectual and to learn about various things and how that those things. See, when you're an intellectual, it's not about the knowledge that you have. It's about the knowledge that you have in order to affect other people, in order to be a blessing and change the world, right? And so it's all right. So let me tell some of these young guys who in school. So what, you don't play sports? So what, you're not on the basketball team? You're not on the baseball team? You're not on the hockey team or football team or whatever. You're an intellectual. That's who you are. Be that. Walk in your skin. My son is not an athlete. He played athletic. He played sports coming up, but that's not who he is. That ain't who I push him to be. I don't push him to be some intellectual. I push him to be that great design engineer, filmmaker. That person he's called to be. Yeah, that's who he is, that editor that he's called to be. And guess what? He's going to be great in that. See, because, when we have a black young man, we have to mold him into what God called him to be and not what we want him to be. Are y'all following me? And so when he marched in that band, I said, boy, you better march, get that leg up, boy. Better march out like you can. I got a guy, Lieutenant Colonel Stuttervan. He probably watching right now. His son in the band, and he has played a tambourine. He said, I told that boy, when you play the tambourine, you put your arms 90 degrees like you're in a Kojic church, and you beat that thing, boy. He's a lieutenant colonel in our army. I said, man, you're something else. You're something else. But why? Because we have to train our kids that whether you're intellectual or whatever you are, that's good. And you want to be your best by being yourself, right? I'm about done. A few more people. The next person I want to talk about in relationship to changing our society is Muhammad Ali. You know, it's amazing. Because when you die, and after you've been through some stuff, everybody like Muhammad Ali. White, black, red, blue, everybody. Ali. But that wasn't the case. That wasn't the case. This young man, from Louisville, Kentucky. Ali won the gold medal in 1960 in the Olympics. Then he went on to beat, Sonny Liston was favored by a long shot. Ali had no chance. Ali knocked him out, became the heavyweight champion of the world. And he was cool. And he converted to Islam, changed his name from Cassius Clay to Muhammad Ali. But when the Vietnam War came, the draft, here's what Ali said. Ali said, war is against the teachings of the Holy Quran. Then he said, I ain't got no quarrel with them Viet Cong. They never called me a nigga. That's what he said. I'm just quoting. They stripped him of his title. Stripped him of everything. Said he was a traitor. In his prime. Ali was about 32 years old before he came back and won the heavyweight championship of the world. Now he's glorious. People like him. He lit the Olympic torch there in Atlanta and all that. But there was a time, that he was a racist. There was a time he was not cool. There was a time, watch him, there was a time that people did not understand and did not like him, but he stood up for right. And sometimes you got to forsake all. Colin Kaepernick, whether you believe it or not, whether you take a knee or not, what he did, was not self-preservation. What he did was to sacrifice. And we as black men, that may not be your plight, but you got to learn to sacrifice something in order for the future. It's a personal choice. It's a personal thing you have to do with God. But Ali is an example for us. He's an example. Jackie Robinson is the example. First black to play Major League Baseball, but it went all glitz, because his first year, they picked Jackie Robinson because they said he's a black that won't fight back. He good. He won't, but after a year, and he won, the Rookie of the Year, after a year, Jackie started fighting back. Jackie, and a whole another Jackie Robinson. You see what I'm saying? But these people sacrifice. These sports people who sacrifice, and we got to know of people like this, and don't see them as great people that the world see now. What did they have to go through? What happened? Arthur Ashe. Let's talk about Arthur Ashe. To this day, Arthur Ashe is the only African-American tennis player, to this day, to win the Wimbledon, the U.S. Open, and Australian Open. To this day, Arthur Ashe. And Arthur Ashe was big in the civil rights movement. I mean, big time. And of course, we know Arthur Ashe was a very much champion for the AIDS cause, and of course, he died in 1983 from AIDS. But Arthur Ashe, maybe I'll put that up, did some things and sacrifice that nobody did. He didn't back down. He had a calm voice, but he had a steady voice. And it says something, So no matter whether you are in sports, whether you are intellectual, whatever, you as a black man, you ought to be proud of yourself. You ought to be proud of how God made you. And then you got to come into your own. I'm praying that black men will come into their own, meaning they will come to learn who they are, how special you are. And listen, and when you see an African American in a prominent position, they've worked hard. We don't get there without working hard. We don't get a pass. Some people get a pass. We don't get a pass. When we're in a position and got people under us, whether we the CEO, CBO, whether we direct, whatever, when we in those kind of positions, it's because we worked hard. And we need to applaud black men. We need to applaud them for that. Stop killing them on everything and applaud them for the positive things. Call them king, you women. Call them that, praise God. Right? Because the truth of the matter is, some of black history, right? Is the history of the black people that we are much more critical than we are encouragers. I had a white gentleman say the other day to me, he said, why are African Americans so critical before being encouraging? I won't call his name, prominent white gentleman. I said, it's part of our nature, part of our culture, part of our mindset that we beat up one another. So what will happen when we have an African American in a place of position and power, we find everything against them to say that they're not good. We find the speck in the milk. We're going to look for it, Cabrera. And we're going to find that speck in the milk. We're going to say, you know, yeah, he all right, but we don't do our white counterparts the same way. And we have to kill that spirit and say, yes, we're going to make mistakes. Heard Dr. Claudette says, if a black man or anybody, black woman or man, own a business, you may have to pay another 50 cents, $1, okay, for their product because it takes another 50 cents and $1 for them to be in business. We have to understand that. And we can't be jealous when other black men do well. We have to rejoice with that. You know, and if your day comes, just say, I'm up next. Not necessarily do what they do, maybe an offshoot that, but you up next in who you are. Put something crazy on Facebook. You get 1,000 likes. I may be exaggerating. Put some education or something you done positive on Facebook, and you get 5. Show you what people's mentality is. We have hatred against one another. No. We got to lift up the black man. You know, lift up one who's struggling. Lift up one who's, Booker T. Washington says, you know, success is how much things you have overcame. You know, how much of that black man overcame. Show me a black man that grew up crazy, made some bad decisions, went to prison, got out of prison, started a business, doing this. Hey, I want to celebrate that person. I'm not going to talk about, amen, him going to prison in the negative. I'm going to talk about him going to prison in the positive. He made a bad mistake, but he learned, and look at what he's doing now. He was on drugs, but look where he is now. So I have to look at black men and celebrate that. And then the one that didn't go to prison, like me or somebody else, or didn't went on drugs, okay, what did they overcome? But you got to say, you know, you were lucky, like something was given to me. You weren't there when I was in engineering school and all my counterparts around me was not paying attention to what I was saying. They wanted me to be their lab partner because I was black and they was white. I had to prove that, hey, I know Bernoulli's equation just as well as you do. I had to prove that. Hello, somebody. You see? And that's important. So if somebody, a black man or woman, but we're talking about black men today, if they're in a position, you ought to celebrate that and do all you can to make them successful. Because their success is your success. It's not fair, but I'm judged. When I'm judged, when I do something wrong, okay, the black race did something wrong. It's not right, but it's the truth. I sit on the executive board of the Chamber of Commerce, one of the most powerful boards there is in this whole North Alabama region. And, okay, I represent the black man on that board, not just Dr. Caracas Watkins. That's not right, but that's the truth. So I got to be sharp. I got to be on. I got to make sure that I do not violate, okay, and teach them that black men can't handle situations, can't handle hearing about multi-billion-dollar projects going on. I can shut my mouth. I can act right. I can, okay, make good decisions. Follow me. Very important. A couple more people, let me hurry up. Robert Johnson. You got a picture of Robert Johnson? Yeah, thank you. Robert Johnson, powerful man. Okay. Of course, he's the first one to develop and to own a company, news company that, not news, but television company that generally was dedicated to black culture, called BET. Okay, the first business, first network dedicated to black culture, first business on the New York Stock Exchange to have a black owner. Robert Johnson was the first business on the New York Stock Exchange by a black owner. He made history again in 2001 by becoming the first black billionaire when he sold BET to Viacom. You know, he another first. In 2003, he purchased the NBA Charlotte Bobcats, first majority black owner of an NBA team. That's Robert Johnson. Robert Johnson is the founding chairman of the RJL companies, RJL McCarty Landers Automobile Holdings. Robert Johnson is the majority owner. He's the chairman, okay, and the founder of Landers McCarty. Did y'all know that? Every Landers McCarty, okay, is owned by Robert Johnson, majority owner. Landers and McCarty are two white guys that was in the business, and he put their names on there. He's a smart black guy. Most people have no idea a black man owned it. But he does. So don't say that you can't do business. Don't say you can't be the first. Black man, you can be all that you want to be. African American man, you can be all that you want to be. We have examples, past and present. What's your excuse? What's our excuse, Jeray? We have none. The only excuse we have is that we don't want to be committed. Excuses is just smoke screens for the uncommitted. Let's keep going. I got 3 more minutes, about 4. Robert F. Smith, put up Smith, known as being the richest black man in America. And by the way, for those who are keeping up with black billionaires, Oprah Winfrey is now number 5. 4 people in the United States are above her. And 2 of my businessmen. Robert Johnson made his billions in finance and investment world. He founded Vista Equity Partners in 2000. It's a company that focuses on software in the tech world. Black man. Most people didn't know him. He on purpose made sure that people didn't know about him. But he became famous to the shock of Morehouse officials. Smith went off strip during the commencement speech. It was not there. I read articles about him. He said, I never even thought about it until the end. He went off strip, but wasn't even on the strip. And he said he saw 400, actually 396, but 400 graduating students. And he said, I'm going to pay off their loans. It's about $40 million. Paid off all 400 of them. Yeah. Now, here's what he said. He said, I was looking at 400 students. His quote, 400 students, 400 years after 1619. He says, referring to the beginning of American slavery. All they burdened, and their families were burdened. They had taken on a tremendous amount of debt to get that education. And liberating them was the right thing to do, for me to do. Honestly, he says, I didn't think it was going to be a big deal. I mean, globally, I didn't realize how many people understood the pain and the liberating effect that student debt has for decades. Not just on the individuals, but on their families. Their parents, if he did. And he became this famous guy. But he never, ever bragged on his money. And they got houses all over the world. This is a black man. He's worth $5 billion. And he didn't do it shooting a basketball. Nothing wrong with that. Didn't do it in Hollywood. Did it in business. What's stopping you, black businessman? He's 57 years old. Here's what the Bible has to say, and I got one more person, I'm done. Proverbs 14:23. If you work hard at what you do, great abundance will come to you. But merely talking about getting rich while living to only one purpose, let me say it again. If you work hard at what you do, great abundance will come to you. But merely talking about getting rich while living to only pursue your pleasures brings you face to face with poverty. Man, let me go on, I got no time, but and that's why a lot of people in poverty because of this right here. Pursuit of pleasures. If you're just pursuing pleasure, you're going to be broke. Okay? You're going to be broke. You know what Dr. Oz and I was doing yesterday? Came up here, did the thing with the young people. We had Joshua up here, did some work. We was at the office working almost all day yesterday on a Saturday. Now, every Saturday is not like that, but we had to do that because we had this stuff to do. You can't play every Saturday. Okay, let me see. Okay, yes, you can. You're going to be broke. Can't play. You can play every night. You can watch television every night when you get off work. You'll never have what you're dreaming about. Don't work like that in America. Last person, I'm done. Man, Josh, I went over. I got 45 seconds. I ain't gonna make it, but I'm 2 minutes. Bishop T.D. Jakes. The reason I'm ending with this, one of the most well-known preachers in America, Potter's House, 30,000 members, 50 diverse ministries. This man has influenced people from the pulpit for years. Has counseled 3 presidents, Bill Clinton, George Bush, and Barack Obama. But here's the deal with Bishop Jakes. He's such a businessman. Somebody asked Jakes about bivocation. Jakes said, I've been bivocation all my life. We look at Jakes as a full-time preacher. He said, no, I got many. I do many businesses all the time, but he preaches real hard, right? T.D. Jakes Real Estate Ventures, adding to the legacy of internship and service in our black communities, building real estate, teaching them how to do it. I mean, in his most recent book, Don't Drop Your Mic, which I got, but Jakes is teaching pastors and orators and people who speak, giving them advice on how to take scripture and apply it to business and that nature. I mean, man make movies. He influenced people. He talks the talk and walk the walk. He's an example. Whether you are believing a preacher or not. And here's what both black men. That preacher just wants your money. Jakes don't need your money. He got his own. But the Potter's House give him a salary, because if not, he'll make them an inferior church. It's their obligation to do it according to the Bible. Hello, somebody. But he'll need nothing from them. Hello? Right? So you got to see all these people I talked about, and you got to bring them to you. Put them in your bosom, and thousands of others that I could have talked about today. And know how they've affected our culture and how you can glean from them. I glean from every one of them. I listen to Dr. Miles Monroe all the time, 3 or 4 times a week, who affected the world, sat with kings and presidents from a little small island down in the Bahamas. Hello, somebody. What about you, black man? What is your excuse not to be successful? Well, let me tell you, you don't have one. Those who watching, you don't have one. God called you to be successful. I heard this man say it. Yeah, black women are having babies. But black men, teenagers, need to rise up and show up and take responsibility. Let me say this. I'm all stripped. Jeray, I applaud you for going to get your child, be in her life. Because you are. You had to leave, you left early last Sunday because you had to go pick up your baby. Paying for her, doing things. I applaud you. You have some greatness in you, young man. It's there. I applaud you for that. Because many black fathers don't do that. I applaud you for that. We have to take responsibility. We may not be great at everything. We may fall from time to time. But ladies, don't kill us. Help us. When we are not sensitive as we need to, it may be something that made us rough and strong and caused us not to be introverted and not to want to help us. Don't kill us. Because inside every Afro-American man, inside every black man is a jewel. It's something awesome. When God made the black man, he didn't make no junk. And you're looking at one right now in front of your eyes. But I'm not the only one. It's many of us. Hallelujah.